There's all kinds of Makai access trails on this property, Mr. Chairman. We never even got a chance to discuss it. That was on my list of conditions I was trying to get to, but with 2 days deliberation and a body anxious to make a decision, it was too low on the list to get any attention. Foster, protect those areas, structures, and elements that are a significant and functional part of Hawaii's ethnic and cultural heritage. How do we know we're doing that, members? Encourage community stewardship of historic sites. Preserve and restore historical roads and paths as cultural resources, and require such resources to be available to the public. State statute requires that, Mr. Chairman, and this county has never addressed it. Not only Hawaiians, but ancient Mauka trails for hunting, for access for gathering, should be available to all of us. Never addressed in this application, and they will disappear once the bulldozer gets her way. Recognize and respect family ancestral ties to certain sites. Wonder how Jacob Mao feels about that. Establish cultural parks and heritage corridors for visitation and education. Do we even make any attempt to address that in this? When we know this area is so rich in cultural sites and contains a cultural landscape that could be preserved in a park for education and visitation, to enrich the Hawaiian culture and the visitor and the kama'aina here. That's going to be gone. You know, if you play golf, you might get a peek. Establish cultural and educational programs to perpetuate Hawaiian and other ethnic heritage. We lost our chance to do that, members. Require development projects to identify all cultural resources located within or adjacent to the project area prior to application as a part of the county development review process. Further, require that all proposed activity include recommendations to mitigate potential adverse impacts on cultural resources, including site avoidance, adequate buffer areas, and interpretation. Particular attention should be directed toward the southern areas of the planning region. What's the southern region of the planning, or southern area of the planning region? It's Makena. I don't think we paid any particular attention. General sites that should be identified for preservation include ancient trails, old government roads, significant native vegetation zones, religious structures, shrines, churches, heiau, and the important sites in the Makena Plan region include the Makena landing area sites and the Makena complex. All of these are on a map in the planning department. Community plan says this map was supposed to be consulted prior to development proposals to make sure that they were included in the application. Never done. All right, that's just cultural in our community plan. None of which was done in this application, none of which was done in, you know, the 4 years from the time it was brought to the council till the time it was passed out in 2004. And in the 2 days we had, certainly wasn't brought up. So, you know, there will be impacts I don't think we've done a fair job in upholding the community plan at all. And I'm glad we've got a condition that he's got to get his preservation plan done, a comprehensive one, before anything is graded. Maybe he might want to burn some brush up there too. Makes it quicker to identify the sites. Require a mix of affordable and market-priced housing in all major residential projects, unless the project is to be developed exclusively as an affordable housing project. There isn't anything in our community plan that talks about building ultra high-end housing for the very ultra wealthy and gate them up and give them exclusivity to this land and its shorefront. Because they're going to have a private beach club. Private beach club. That's a first in Maui County. You know, so that they don't need to mix with the local community. They can have their own private enclave to live their very exclusive lifestyle. You know, all the transportation improvements that are needed in Makena are supposed to be done concurrently with any growth. The widening of Pi'ilani to 4 lanes prior to the construction of major projects south of Kilohana, Mauka of Pi'ilani, is a policy objective. Here's a concurrency requirement that members over 10 years ago knew was required then. And here we are 10 years later, and we're still not doing it. So, you know, that's my problem with this, Mr. Chairman, the impacts that are going to come to my community because the analysis for the use of this land was never properly done. And you know, I think that's a tactic. You see it all the time. Look what we did with Wailea 670. Same thing. We had to spend days and days developing conditions to mitigate perceived impacts because the analysis had never been done. That's not our job. The county code says it's the landowner's job to do that. So that when it comes to us, all the mitigation has already been done. And they've already agreed to it. Well, I hope you guys find a way, and I hope the planning department says, hey, this application isn't complete. Go do the analysis before we accept this application and dump the burden on the council members.